Hello everyone, it's Average Joe. Today we're going to take a look at my old dryer. It seems to be taking a little longer to dry clothes than it should, and I really don't want to buy another one, and I shouldn't have to. So we're going to take a look at what's causing the problem and how we can fix it. Here we go. Alright, now we got the dryer out and turned around where we can easily work on it. You can do this from back there if you just pull the dryer forward, but it's difficult and you can't really see and you're uncomfortable, so it's just better if you can pull it out and turn it where you can actually get to it. This next process is pretty straightforward. We need this back panel off, and to do that we're gonna have to take some screws out, and they're just 1/4 inch drive. So I got a little socket here. I'm gonna go ahead and do that right quick. Alright, now we got that out, and make sure you keep up with all the screws, stick them in one place so you know where they're at. And if one's longer than the other when you're taking them out, just make note of where it went. Usually the ones for the back panel are all the same size. So now we're going to move on to taking this intake duct off, and this is actually coming out of the dryer. It has the lint screen in here, and it gets sucked down into a blower housing right here, and that's where a lot of the lint gets built up, and then it gets pushed out the exhaust. So we're going to go ahead and take this out right quick. It should just be a few screws and we'll have it out. I'm going to collect all my screws. There's 4 and they're the same as the others, so I don't have to worry about that. I got those 4 screws off. Let's see, actually what's holding this on is the lint trap. I gotta go ahead and take those 2 screws out right quick. Okay, I took out the 2 screws. They're up inside the lint door, and there's 2 Phillips screws there, and that's where the lint trap is. But down here, we're gonna see a whole bunch of build up stuff from over the years out of pockets, lint. So that's one of the places we're gonna have to clean out. And then another one is coming out of the dryer, the exhaust for the dryer, intake of the fan. There's a lot of build up, and I'll bring you a little closer and show you the blower wheel. Okay, and down here, that's actually the motor that moves the air, and it also turns the drum. On this side of the shaft is obviously the blower wheel, and then the motor, and then there's a little drive pulley that runs the drum on a belt system on the other side. But in here we want to check these blades and get all that crud, lint build up off the blades, because that is very important to airflow, that those the concave part of the blade is clean. It makes a huge difference to airflow. And we'll get all that out of there. We'll reach our hand up in through here and make sure there's nothing built up. And I've cleaned this dryer before. It was probably 3 years ago, so it's not the worst. Before that, I don't know when it was done, and it was terrible. But just all we're gonna do is rub each blade down, clean it up, and take a vacuum around. So I'll go ahead and do that right quick. Okay, the vacuum did help us out quite a bit, but can't really tell a whole much. Now we're going to take a paper towel and some Windex in my case, but you can use, really probably best if we just use plain water, but I got this in a spray bottle, so I'm not going to use it. So now we're just going to go ahead and clean all the fan blades. Alright, and the final piece is to clean the intake duct, or the wind screen catcher. Whew. Now this is pretty bad. We'll get in here. You can kind of just scrape a lot of it loose. Just from showing you earlier, I cleaned a lot of this out, or loosened it up, just by touching. And then we can pour it out. And there's pretty much everything that's been in my pockets the last few years. And a lot of this you can't see, but I can feel. And I'm just rubbing my hand on it. Now that I got all the big stuff cleaned up, I'm just going to hit it with a little bit of Windex again on a rag. I don't want to be spraying it in here, especially with the heat element and all the wiring. So I just got a little wet rag. And I'll just kind of wipe everything down, getting all the big dust off. This isn't something you have to do, but while you're at it, a clean surface doesn't like to have dirt sticking to it. It's harder to attract dirt, so we may as well go ahead and clean it. Okay, before I finish putting this together, I just wanted to kind of go over the basic operation of this. And we understand that that duct is pulling from the drum. It goes through the lint filter that's in here, gets sucked in, and there's a little catch for screws and heavy objects before it goes into the blower, and then gets blown out through here and out. So then where does it come in? Well, over here it gets sucked in right here. Right there is the heating element. That's where it plugs in. It's actually in coils right through here. So then this cold air gets heated up, gets sucked in to the drum right through here. The clothes get heated up from that, and then that air comes, makes its way, and that's how the process goes. So right at the very bottom, that's our heater coil connections, and this section right from here down is where you'd replace, if the heater element ever quit working, you just replace that section. You don't actually have to restring the elements, but that's where that is. Right here is a high temperature limit. If those coils get too hot, that'll shut the elements off so it doesn't overheat. And then up here we have another one that'll be a lower temperature than that, but if that goes, it'll shut everything down too. So then on the exhaust, we're gonna have, that's like a one-time thermal fuse. If that goes, it's gonna lock everything down. There's no automatic reset. It's saying, hey, something bad went wrong, I got way too hot. And then that's a secondary safety switch. That's going to be a lower temperature than that one, and that's going to cycle on and off and say, hey, I'm pretty warm, I don't need the heater element right now. So that's going to be used the most, and can also just get wore out and fail just from being on and off, because that's measuring the temperature of the clothes coming out, or the air coming out. And if that's really warm, well, then it's going to conserve energy, keep from getting too hot, and turn the heat kit off. So that main switch runs the heat kit, your heaters, and then that's a safety, and that's a one-time safety. If that burns out, it's usually because this was restricted, or even what we just cleaned out was dirty, or there was a small fire. Small chance of that. The reason I say I kind of introduced this video is saving you money and time is because when all this is dirty, it can't move as much air. So it's going to slow down the air intake process, which is going to heat up more, but you're moving less air, so it's taking longer to clean and then or dry the clothes. And then because of that, this heater is going to be running a lot more at a lot higher temperature and most likely bouncing off this limit. So it's getting hotter than it needs to be. It's wearing the heat strips out. And then because it's not moving as much air, it's taking longer to dry. So it's just very inefficient when it's not clean and moving air properly. And with that said, you also need to clean the exhaust going out of the house, the exhaust duct that connects to the back of the dryer. Make sure that's clean. There's plenty of ways to do that. Mine's right through the wall, so I just reach in, clean it with my hand, make sure the flapper's flapping, and we're good to go. So I just wanted to explain all that. I'll button this up and get it back going. Alright, so now we got the dryer back. You can look at the pile of stuff we just took out. You see that huge pile of lint and dirt and screws and all kinds of stuff. You look at that pile and you know you just did something great.